What's good, guys? So in today's tutorial I'm going to introduce you to the most commonly used data types in Python. So in Python we have int, which represents integers or whole numbers. So whenever you see a whole number in Python, the data type of that particular number is an integer. And also in Python, decimal numbers are represented as float. Also in Python, when we talk about strings are a series of characters or a text. Example, the name of a person or anything that involves characters. The data type for any NaN values is called NaN type. In Python, to define a list, you have to bring your square brackets, then you bring your values. Also, in defining a tuple, we use braces to define a tuple, curly braces to define a dict, and also in set we use curly braces to define a set. So the difference between a dict and a set is that with dict they have a key and a value. So the A represents a key and the 1 represents a value. So they are a collection of key value pairs. The next thing I'm going to talk about is variables. So in Python, variables is defined as a container for storing values. So these are some few steps you have to take note of when defining a variable. A variable must start with an underscore or a letter, like this one. And also a variable cannot start with a number. Example, 1 2 3 equals sum. A variable can contain letters, numbers and underscores. So a variable can contain, let's say, name 1 underscore 2. So this can be used as a variable. It can contain a letter, a number and an underscore. Okay, so we can see from here that this name gives us Jane and this one gives us Derek, meaning that when it comes to naming of variables, they are case sensitive. If you start with the initial letter as caps and you create the same variable having the same name but the initial as a small letter, they will all appear different when you print them. Also, in creating variables, you have to name your variable, then you use the equal sign operator, then you assign the value to the variable that you've created. So to define a variable or declare a variable that contains an integer value, you have to specify the name of the variable. Let's say I want to create a variable with the name age, which has a year of maybe 19 years. So this variable contains the value 19, which is an integer data type. So if I want to print this age, I have to come to the next line. I'll press enter to come to the next line, then I'll type age, then I'll press shift plus enter to run my code, and this is the value of the variable age. In the same way, if you want to create a variable with the name Alice, you define the name of the variable, you bring your equal sign, then you assign the name you want to assign to this variable. And one thing you have to take note of is that in defining strings, we use either a single quote or a double quote to define a string. And also when you want to define a variable that stores a floating value, you have to take note that in Python, floating values are decimal numbers. So the number you assign has to be a decimal number. Also, in creating variables, you can assign multiple variables in one line. Let's say instead of creating a equals 1, b equals 2, and c equals 3, print a, print b, print c. We can just simplify our code by defining our variable in one single line. Then we will assign the values. We will assign the values respectively. So a will be equal to 1, b will be equal to 2, c will be equal to 3. Then we will print a, b, and c, and this is the output that we will get, which will be the same as this one. Also, you can check the type of a particular variable by using the type function. So let's say I want to print y equals 5. I want to check the type of value in the variable y. So I'll define the type function, which is this. Then I'll input the name of the variable, which is y. Then I'll press shift plus enter to run my code. So this indicates that the value inside our variable y is an integer data type. Also, you can also combine variables with strings. Let's say you have a variable named Alex with age 25. You can print or combine this together with strings using a comma or an F string. So with this kind of example, let's say you want to print my name is Alex and I am 25 years old. So you bring your string, and remember that I said in defining a string you have to bring either a single quote or a double quote. So I'll define a string, my name is, then I'll bring a comma, then I'll bring the name of the variable, which is name, then I'll bring a comma again, then I'll bring the next string, then I'll bring a comma, then I'll insert my variable name, which is age, then I'll bring a comma, then I'll bring the next string. Afterwards, I'll close the bracket. And in using an F string, you also type print, then you bring F. So you type print, a print function, then you type F, then you bring your quotes, then you insert the text inside the quote. So one thing you should take note of when using the F string is that you have to always bring this F, and also your variables are supposed to be in curly brackets, like using a dict. Okay guys, that is all for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it to others to also benefit from this channel. Also, I left some practice exercises below what we discussed, and I'll be leaving this notebook inside the description so that you can check it out. Peace out.